Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, buongiorno, buonasera, dzień dobry, dobry wieczór, jak jela, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Happy weekend to all that follow the channel. It is April the 25th, Saturday, April 25th. And wasn't planning on doing this video, but I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. Slater case. I have to keep going back to the comments underneath the ITV This Morning video from a few days ago. It's over 1,000 comments now. It is absolutely precious. Some of the things the accident group was saying there. And I do have to admit, I feel somewhat addicted. If I don't check every so often, I feel that something hilarious, nonsensical, and so revealing is there from the accident group that I do have to keep going back to see what the latest is. Sadly, it is driving Mrs. Smith a little crazy because she keeps calling out, "What are you laughing at now? What is so funny now?" And it's hard to explain when you see the absolute bumbling bollocks and drivel from the accident group to someone that has never been a part of this whole fiasco of nonsensical explanation that they give. So whenever I read out what one of these AG dimwits has said, it never actually sounds that funny to poor Mrs. Smith. It's just one of those things. If you get it, you get it. If you know, you know. But the one that caught my eye that I couldn't let pass was our good old friend, the Northumbrian dolt that he is, Thomas the Wanker, had to say something on what I still find is possibly the most embarrassing profile pic ever put out there. Him with a little girl's doll strapped to his nether regions. He still continues to defend the whole idea of the photo, which tells you the guy isn't that bright, because a reasonably bright person would say, yeah, on reflection, maybe not the best photo to broadcast to the world, to post to the whole planet. But no, 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 no. Thomas the Wanker, still out there defending this photo as the best thing that best idea he's ever had, kind of thing. But let's kind of break down his comment, and see how this goes. Now, I think it's Annette who pulls him up on the photo first of all, and Annette says, "Yeah, are you not the guy who straps dolls to yourself? Are you not the guy who straps dolls to yourself?" Now, I got to be honest, the question itself from Annette was a really good one because she put it in the plural, as if she took from Thomas's very contented face with this little girl's doll strapped to his nether regions as something that he might do habitually, that it's a kind of routine for him, that it is indeed something that has happened more than once. And so, yeah, cool, good shout out to you, Annette. Good call there. Let's put it in the plural to see if this is habitual. Yes. Are you not the guy who straps dolls to yourself? Now, Thomas doesn't deny that he doesn't strap dolls to himself. Um, he doesn't deny that he does strap dolls to himself. He just lets that plural form, dolls, pass by. That was intriguing. So here goes. Thomas the Great answers Annette. He says, "Are you referring to the photo where I'm holding the phone and taking a selfie in the passenger seat of the car, and I have my daughter's doll strapped into the seatbelt with me so it doesn't end up on the floor while I'm using my phone?" Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. There really is. So let's take it slowly and gently. Are you referring to the photo where I'm holding the phone and taking a selfie in the passenger seat of the car? I don't have a phone that takes photos. I don't take selfies, so I'm not an expert on this. However, I have seen Mrs. Smith use her phone to take selfies of her, obviously, that's what a selfie is, And she always does it with one hand. So, phone users out there, is it common that people take a selfie of themselves and they need both hands? Or is Mrs. Smith unusually dexterous and talented and can do this selfie thing with a phone with one hand? Because when I first read that from Thomas, taking a selfie in the passenger seat of the car, I thought, yeah, so, I mean, you're holding the child's doll in one hand and you're taking your selfie, your precious selfie, because you love the picture of you in a car so much. You got to take another selfie if you sat in a car with your other hand. That was my first thought. But okay, I am ignorant on this subject. I don't know how people take selfies. It seems like Mark Dearden here needs both hands to take a selfie. Let's go with that. So he's got both hands taking his selfie, yeah, of him in the passenger seat of a car, which we all do, yeah. And therefore, what to do with the child's doll? That's his problem, yeah. He says, yeah, it was strapped into the seatbelt with me, so it doesn't end up on the floor while I'm using my phone. Well, again, let's think about this. So it doesn't end up on the floor. I've got to be honest with you, whenever I have been sat in the passenger seat of a car and I have some object on my lap, just on my lap, sitting on me, whatever the object might be, um, it is very, very rare that that object ends up just falling off my lap and onto the floor. I mean, it can happen, but I've got to be honest with you, it's not the world's biggest disaster that whatever was on my lap ends up falling off and on the floor. Now, the child's doll is not a small object, and it's not like a cup of coffee or tea. I mean, it's just sat there on you. The driver brakes suddenly, the doll flies off and lands on the floor. Okay. I guess the solution to that, in the 1 in 100 chance that the doll's going to fly for a lap and end up on the floor, oh, quelle horreur, sacre bleu, the doll fell off my lap. Um, yeah, I guess you would have to strap it in nice, close, tight to those nether regions, Thomas, to make sure the doll ain't gonna escape. Yeah, I guess that is a good idea. Yeah, yeah, we can't have the doll falling off your lap and onto the floor when you're using your phone with both hands to take a selfie in the passenger seat of your car. And then Thomas goes on, he says, yeah, my daughter's mother was asleep in her baby seat behind me, and her mother was driving. Now, I'm going to read this again very carefully because I think Thomas is so shocked at how he's been caught out with having to explain why on earth he had a child's doll strapped to his nether regions. He's now in panic mode because what he says here doesn't make any sense. I'll say it again. Yeah, my daughter's mother was asleep in her baby seat behind me. So if his daughter's mother is asleep in the baby seat, that must mean the daughter's mother is very young, which means Thomas's partner is two? 2 years old, max? In the baby seat? No, can't be. But that's what he says. Yeah, I mean, this is what you get from the accident group. This is the sage of Seton Delaval. This is someone that is very wise, he said. He said he's very wise in his own words, but this is the tripe he comes out with. Yeah, my daughter's mother was asleep in her baby seat behind me, and her mother, okay, her mother, was driving. I don't know where Thomas's partner fits into this. It's the mother of the baby or something. It was the last time her mother was well enough that we could all go out together before she passed away. Well, there we go. Thomas the Great is a tragedy troll. He is the archetypal tragedy troll. I'll explain why. We've already gone through the definition of a troll, and it fits Thomas perfectly. After all, a troll, a person who makes a deliberately offensive and provocative online post. He seems to do little else, to be honest. So 100% troll is Mark Deard and Thomas the Great. Tragedy troll, because yet again, have you not noticed the accident group cannot resist telling the whole world the whole story of whatever tragedy has afflicted them? In Thomas's case, it's his partner. Yeah, died early. Yeah, let's tell the whole world the whole story about his tragedy. We have Jane Gobshite from Glasgow, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, going on and on about the autistic son and daddy died and husband died and what have you. Death, tragedy trolling. That's all we get from them. We got Melissa 180. Yeah, claiming to be on her deathbed, but every other day she has a stomach full of vitriol she wants to spew out there just before she kicks the bucket, which never seems to happen. Yeah, she's a fake Melissa. It's not real, of course it isn't. But Melissa 180, another tragedy troll, tragedy, troll. Over and over and over again. All we get from these accident group tragedy trolls is retelling the tragedy that has afflicted them. Oh, Laurie, she thought it was a great idea to take a candle to bed with her. It set the feather duvet alight and she burnt the house down. Tragedy. I've got to get a GoFundMe, said Laurie, to, find a place, some accommodation somewhere. These people are tragedy trolls. And not only are they trolls, not only do they focus on their own tragedy over and over again, ad nauseum, they are the original tragedy trolls, pumping it out day after day. Not only that, they never, ever question anyone else about their own tragedy. If you ask Thomas the Great, or Laurie, or Gobshite, or Melissa, what tragedies, for example, I might have had in my life, Mrs. Smith might have had in her life, any of the foul play group might have had in our lives. Oh no, they're not interested in that at all. These people are so narcissistic, self-obsessed tragedy trolls that the thought that someone else might have gone through a similar, or heaven forbid, some worse kind of experience never, ever occurs to them because their bubble is their little tragedy troll world. And you even get them to think about what other people might have gone through, and they can't handle it. It's always back to their own tragedy. And here we have it with Thomas the Great. Let's go through it again. Oh, my daughter's mother was asleep in her baby seat behind me, and her mother was driving. It was the last time her mother was well enough that we could all go out together before she passed away. When was the last time, Thomas, you ever asked anyone in the foul play group about their tragedies? And if it matched yours, or if it reflected yours, or if it was anything that touched yours? You see, occasionally, just occasionally, we'll get one of the foul play group that will remind the tragedy trolls, the accident group tragedy trolls, that other people have gone through the same thing. That, you know what, tragedy in a bizarre kind of way is a part of life. We all, at some point, do go through it, to a greater or lesser extent. But what's different is the foul play group are, in my experience, they're more private, they're more discreet, and they might tell you in a private message if their own tragedy is something they want to share with you. But as far as broadcasting it to the whole world, no. Because we all understand that is not something you tend to share. It is only tragedy trolls. Thomas, Melissa, Gobshite, the list goes on. Oh yes, they have to share their tragedies. And that is why I was curious the other day that Dee Morris posted that very tragic story about he was the one, very sadly, with his brother's drug problem, he was the one that had to turn his brother's life support machine off. And that is a rare instance of someone from foul play group having to say that. But he had to say it. He had to say it because he was showing Kaz Alice that Debbie is a grieving mother, but Debbie doesn't have a monopoly in this world on grieving or death or tragedy or absolute disaster. That we all, at various points in our lives, probably go through that or have gone through it. And Dee Morris, I think, wanted to tell Kaz Alice, look at the big picture. If you really want to keep telling us and imploring us to understand Debbie is a grieving mother, you also have to understand that all of us in the foul play group can relate to that or have gone through it. This is not a unique case. You see, Debbie is a grieving mother. She's also a deceiving mother. She is both in my book, grieving and deceiving. So even though we hear grieving mother, grieving mother, grieving mother, we should also be hearing an echo of grieving and hearing deceiving. She is both. She has deceived us all on so many aspects of the Jay Slater case. I won't even go there right now. All of the drug background in the Jay Slater case has been ignored, and I call that deception. She's a deceiving mother. She's a grieving mother. She is both. But Dee Morris pointed out that it is absurd to only repeat grieving mother, grieving mother, grieving mother when others have gone through a similar process, and we still see that what happened to Jay is not normal at all. It's all. But I digress. Let's go back to this particular tragedy troll, Thomas the Great. He continues. Pretty normal for a parent, I would say. And I think he means pretty normal for a parent, meaning to strap a doll close to his nether regions. Pretty normal for a parent, I would say. But maybe you're the sort who would just chuck her doll in the footwell. Well, no, Thomas, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would expect the doll just to, rest happily on my lap. Or I would take the photo with one hand. Or, I've got to be honest with you, Thomas, if I had a car, I would hope the footwell of the passenger seat in that car was clean enough just to lay the doll down there for a few seconds. Or maybe the selfies you take of your gorgeous face, your male model face, means you're taking selfies for a half hour or so. I don't know. But I honestly would have thought that yes, if that footwell area is clean enough, just a few seconds to rest the doll in the footwell would be fine. I would think that. What is intriguing here is none of what I've just read out to you, nothing about the whole doll story. I'll tell you what's intriguing to me at this point. What's intriguing to me at this point is that once Thomas, two hands at the ready, taking his selfie, yeah, with the doll, the child's doll, strapped hard into those nether regions, once that's all done, Thomas then looks at that photo and he thinks, wow, you know, compared to the photo of Thomas in his Speedos, compared to Thomas posing at the bar, impressing the ladies as they walk in. Yeah, compared to all those stunning photos of Thomas looking radiant, sage, debonair, sophisticated, compared to all those, the best photo Thomas has to post to the whole world is him in the passenger seat, looking gormless. I mean, talk about lurch. You rang? And there is the little doll strapped to his nether regions. Now, like I said, if the footwell of that passenger area was clean, and I would assume the passenger area, that passenger footwell area where the feet go, is pretty clean compared to, I don't know, Thomas's wank-stained crotch. I still think I would have put the doll down there for a few seconds. I mean, I don't know how old little Miss Dearden is, but when she eventually gets her dolly back, I very much doubt little Miss Dearden is going to say, "Here, Dad, Dolly's dress is dirty," Oh, sorry, that's a bit of a Scouse accent. I can't do Geordie at the moment. Yeah, I whether little Miss Dearden is going to say Dolly's dress is bloody dirty. Did you drop her in the footwell for a few seconds? I don't really understand what the disaster is here that happens to Dolly if she is in the footwell. But I do understand the disaster that can happen when you think it's a really good idea to put your ugly mug out to the world with a doll strapped to your nether regions. A little bit more self-reflection would probably tell you, Thomas, that someone, just someone in this world, might look at it and think, it's an odd photo to be proud of. I wonder what's going on there. Just my thoughts of the day. All right. There's a lot more funny stuff to come if you just read through the comments section of this morning. But that one, I've got to say, did, well, how can I put it? Tickle my fancy, Thomas. All right. Hasta luego, adios. See you again.